There are bridges built in places where their very existence seems to defy all laws. Some hang above cloud-covered abysses, some span disappearing glaciers, and a few structures stand firm in places that are difficult for humans to reach. Amid fierce winds, sheer cliffs, and endless expanses of open space, these bridges do more than connect two sides. They become proof of what once seemed impossible. What limits can be broken when humanity is determined to build a wonder above an abyss? On the slopes of the Alps, a journey that is almost vertical carries people from the valley into a world of ice, rock, and sky. From Chamonix, the Aiguille du Midi cable car lifts passengers through an elevation gain of 9,209 feet in a single journey. As forests and meadows gradually disappear below, the familiar landscape gives way to a realm where rock and ice dominate every horizon. What is even more remarkable is how it was built. When the project was completed in 1955, helicopters had not yet been used in the construction process. At the summit, sharp as a giant needle, visitors step into the glass box known as Step into the Void, cross a steel bridge suspended above a deep chasm, and explore Le Tube, a passageway carved through the mountain. Yet behind these breathtaking experiences, another story is quietly unfolding. Scientists continuously monitor the melting permafrost. On June 1, 2025, more than 18,500 cubic feet of rock suddenly collapsed from the southern slope, altering climbing routes that had existed for generations. As extreme weather repeatedly threatens the site, 8 specialists must suspend themselves above a -4 degrees Fahrenheit abyss, using a helicopter to install a 4,400-pound steel structure within a single hour of absolute precision. The mountain still stands proudly against the alpine sky, but the ice that once helped humanity reach this place is quietly disappearing year after year. What happens when a bridge is built to keep pace with a disappearing glacier? Suspended about 330 feet above the turquoise waters of Lake Triftsee, it connects rocky cliffs within a landscape that is constantly reshaping itself. In the heart of the Swiss Alps, the Trift Bridge stretches 560 feet across the open expanse of a glacial valley. Below, the turquoise lake lies hundreds of feet beneath the feet of pedestrians, while steep cliffs surround a landscape that remained covered by ice for centuries. But the most unusual aspect of the bridge is neither its height nor its length. It is the lake itself. Just a few decades ago, Lake Triftsee barely existed on maps, making it difficult for many visitors to believe that this entire body of water is a very recent addition to the Alps. The explanation lies in the retreat of the Trift Glacier. Between 2004 and 2019, the glacier receded by approximately 0.7 miles, exposing ancient bedrock and allowing the lake to form. As the ice continued to withdraw farther into the mountains, the traditional route to the Trift mountain hut disappeared as well. What is remarkable is that this bridge was not built to cross a canyon. It was built because the landscape below changed so rapidly that people had to find an entirely new way across. Every step on the Trift Bridge passes over the remaining traces of an icy world that is steadily retreating. A bridge taller than the Eiffel Tower stretches across the windswept valley of southern France. From a distance, it appears almost impossible to exist. Yet this very location became the stage for one of the world's most daring engineering achievements. Spanning 8,070 feet across the Tarn Valley and reaching a height of 1,125 feet from the base of its tallest pier, the Millau Viaduct still holds the title of the tallest bridge in the world. However, the greatest challenge was not its height, but maintaining stability amid the mountain winds that constantly sweep through the region. 7 massive concrete piers raise the bridge deck nearly 890 feet above the Tarn River. On foggy days, the valley below nearly disappears from view, making vehicles crossing the bridge appear to glide among the clouds. Despite weighing approximately 40,000 tons, the steel deck was designed with a special aerodynamic shape that allows the wind to press the structure downward rather than push it off course. Beneath its graceful appearance lies 3 years of construction by more than 500 workers, completed at a height comparable to a 100-story building. As 2 enormous steel sections advanced toward each other across the vast open space, they connected perfectly in midair with a margin of error of only 0.2 inches. Amid wind, rock, and open sky, Millau does more than cross a valley. It spans limits that were once believed impossible to overcome. Amid the dark green forests of Montenegro, a gently curving ribbon of concrete appears to float in midair. Beneath it lies the Terra Canyon, reaching depths of up to 4,400 feet, where a turquoise river has spent millions of years carving its way through solid rock. Looking down from the bridge, the world seems to disappear into a colossal crack in the earth. The Terra Canyon cuts deep through Montenegro's limestone mountains and is considered the second deepest canyon on the planet, surpassed only by the Grand Canyon. Its depth is enough to swallow many skyscrapers into the darkness at the bottom of the gorge. Spanning this vast void are 5 concrete arch spans completed in 1940. Rather than crossing the canyon in a straight line, the bridge curves gently, as if adapting to the landscape around it. Surrounded by dark pine forests and emerald waters, it resembles a graceful brushstroke drawn across the stone. Beneath its elegant appearance lies a much older world. The Tara River, often called the Tara of Europe, flows through rock formations dating back to the age of the dinosaurs and supports one of the continent's last remaining populations of the rare Danube salmon. Then war arrived. To halt the advance of Italian forces, engineer Lazar Jokovic destroyed the very bridge span he had helped build and was later executed at the site. Today, between the depths of the canyon and the sound of the river echoing from below, that memory has never truly disappeared. Amid the thousands of towering stone pillars of Zhangjiajie, there is a place that constantly triggers humanity's instinctive sense of danger. A 1,410-foot-long glass bridge stretches across a 984-foot-deep abyss, where every step forces the eyes to confront the void below. The bridge extends 1,410 feet from one cliff to another, making it more than 20 times longer than the glass viewing section of the Grand Canyon Skywalk in the United States. Suspended 984 feet above the canyon floor, it creates the sensation of a giant skyscraper laid horizontally across open air. Beneath the bridge lies a labyrinth of more than 3,100 towering quartz sandstone pillars. These formations originated from ancient sedimentary layers nearly 400 million years ago and later became the inspiration for the famous floating mountains featured in the film Avatar. But what makes this place unforgettable is not only the scenery. Dense fog frequently blankets the entire valley, transforming the bridge into a pathway suspended among white clouds. Through the transparent glass beneath their feet, visitors can look directly down into the seemingly endless emptiness below. That very fear led many people to question the bridge's safety. In response, engineers deliberately cracked a glass panel and then drove a 2-ton SUV carrying 11 people across it. Amid the ancient stone landscape of Zhangjiajie, the bridge does more than test human courage. It reminds us how small we are in the face of nature's immense depth and scale. To reach the most beautiful valleys of Hunza, people must first overcome a challenge that causes many to stop halfway. A 635-foot suspension bridge hangs between rocky mountains, crossing a powerful glacial river below. From a distance, the bridge looks like a thin thread stretched between two cliffs, but once you step onto it, its true scale gradually becomes apparent. Nearly as long as 2 American football fields placed end-to-end, the bridge was built in 1968 and hangs about 100 feet above the Hunza River. Yet its length is not what made it famous. Hundreds of narrow wooden planks are tied to steel cables, while the gaps between them can be as wide as 2 feet. Every step forces people to look down through openings that lead directly to the icy blue waters below. The steel cables hum in the wind, The wooden planks sway gently beneath each footstep. All around, the peaks of the Passu cones rise like gigantic stone blades. Strangely, that sense of fear has never stopped daily life from continuing. While visitors cling tightly to the cables as they make their way across, local residents still carry goods, livestock, and essential supplies over the bridge as a routine part of everyday life. More than half a century has passed, yet the bridge continues to connect remote villages with the outside world. Suspended 955 feet above Colorado's Arkansas River, the Royal Gorge Bridge held the title of the world's highest bridge for 72 years. Yet what makes this structure truly remarkable is not its height, but its ability to endure challenges that seemed impossible to overcome. To appreciate the scale of the Royal Gorge Bridge, imagine the Pecos High Bridge in Texas, a structure already as tall as a football field standing upright. Even so, Royal Gorge rises far beyond that. Looking down from the bridge deck, the entire Chrysler Building of New York could fit within the vast space below. But height is not what makes this story memorable. In June 2013, a devastating wildfire destroyed 48 of the park's 52 structures. When the smoke cleared, many assumed the bridge had been ruined as well. Yet what engineers discovered afterward was entirely different. Only 100 of the bridge's 1,292 wooden planks needed to be replaced. In the years that followed, approximately 25,000 pounds of native grass and wildflower seeds were planted to help restore the scorched landscape. An even stranger detail lies in the bridge's origins. In 1929, engineer George Cole and a crew of just 70 workers completed the structure in 6 months without a single recorded fatality. Yet decades later, one of the bridge's owners had never even set foot on the property he possessed. After everything around it was consumed by fire, the bridge required the replacement of only a small portion of its deck, as though the canyon itself had refused to let it disappear. Below, the Arkansas River continues its quiet journey through the cool mist. Above, a slender connection still stands, defying the passage of time. Spanning the deep canyon of the Apurimac River, Queswachaka is the last bridge on Earth still woven entirely from grass using the ancient Inca technique. This tradition has been maintained continuously for more than 500 years, passed down through generations of Andean communities. The bridge deck measures about 92 feet in length, roughly the length of a standard NBA basketball court. Below it flows the powerful Apurimac River, approximately 100 feet beneath. A single misstep is enough to send a traveler into the raging waters with almost no chance of return. Yet its height is not what makes this bridge extraordinary. What has surprised engineers lies within those seemingly fragile bundles of grass. In 2024, studies showed that hand-braided koya grass can withstand an average tensile stress of up to 625 psi. Simply by twisting and weaving thousands of strands together, the Inca created an organic material of remarkable strength. But the true secret does not lie in the material itself. After the bridge collapsed during the pandemic in 2021 and was damaged again in 2025, the local community returned once more to rebuild it. The power of community transforms wild grass into an enduring legend. Thousands of people have woven more than 15.5 miles of grass rope into a bridge strong enough to support an entire army, using nothing but their hands and the knowledge passed down from their ancestors. Amid the cold winds of the Andes, the bridge continues to sway above the abyss, linking the present to an ancient world. Amid the sea of clouds above Langkawi, this bridge appears to float in midair with nowhere to rest. From many angles, the entire structure seems to be supported by a single tower, an idea that sounds more like science fiction than civil engineering. Standing 2,170 feet above sea level, this curved bridge stretches 410 feet between the peaks of Gunung Mat Sinkang. Longer than a standard American football field and situated at an elevation exceeding that of One World Trade Center, its true scale is difficult to appreciate through photographs alone. The bridge's design is unlike almost any other on Earth. Its deck forms a graceful curve and is suspended from a single 270-foot-tall diamond-shaped pylon inclined at an angle of 80 degrees. Beneath the walkway, an inverted triangular truss system supports the steel and concrete components, while glass floor panels provide unobstructed views into the void below. During an upgrade completed in 2015, engineers added glass floor sections in the central portion of the bridge, allowing visitors to look nearly 330 feet down onto the ancient Mashinkang mountain range. With every step, the perspective shifts between sea, cliffs, and sky, creating the sensation of walking through the air itself. The entire bridge is suspended from a single inclined pylon above a vast abyss, an idea that sounds more like science fiction than structural engineering. In the skies above Langkawi, engineering has created something rarely seen, a structure that seems impossible, yet is completely real. Would you dare to walk across it? Amid the mountains of the Czech Republic, often shrouded in clouds and mist, stands a structure that nearly disappears from view when seen from a distance. It is so slender that it looks like a thread stretched between two mountain ridges. Yet this seemingly delicate structure holds a world record. Sky Bridge 721 currently holds the world record as the longest suspension footbridge, stretching 2,365 feet across the Monsky Stream Valley. Its length is equivalent to nearly 8 American football fields placed end-to-end, or almost 1.5 times the length of the main span of the legendary Brooklyn Bridge. But what makes this place extraordinary is not just the numbers. When layers of mist begin to drift across the mountainsides, the entire bridge seems to vanish into the sky. Those standing on it often feel as though they are walking among the clouds, with the ground below fading into a hazy void. Nearby stands Skywalk, a structure of wood and steel inspired by the erratic flight path of a moth. At the top is a steel net suspended about 165 feet above the ground, allowing visitors to stand or sit directly above the open space below. At first glance, it is difficult to believe that a walkway only about 4 feet wide could remain stable in such a windy mountain environment. Yet behind that fragile appearance lies a system of 60 wind stabilizing cables designed to keep the bridge secure in harsh weather conditions. Each step still creates subtle vibrations, just enough to remind pedestrians that hundreds of feet of open air lie beneath them. And perhaps that is what makes Sky Bridge 721 truly memorable. This structure was not built to make people feel more powerful than nature. Instead, it reminds us how small we really are when standing among mountains, clouds, and seemingly endless expanses of open space. High in the Swiss Alps, a narrow steel bridge only 3 feet wide hangs suspended in midair. What makes this place extraordinary is not the bridge's length, but the immense void that lies beneath every step. The Tiddley's Cliff Walk stands at an elevation of more than 10,000 feet above sea level, where the air becomes noticeably thinner. From here, visitors must take roughly 150 steps to cross one of the highest suspension bridges in Europe. Yet it is the abyss below that causes many people to hesitate. Directly beneath the bridge lies an ice cave extending deep into the glacier, while ancient masses of ice continue their slow movement among the mountain peaks. More than a century ago, humanity's journey in this region began when Joseph became the first person to descend Mount Tiddley's on skis. Since then, each generation has sought to venture farther into this harsh environment, from solitary expeditions to modern structures that continue to reshape the skyline of the Alps. Designed to withstand 450 tons of snow and winds reaching up to 120 miles per hour, the bridge exists in a place where nature seems to allow no margin for error. From a pair of wooden skis to engineering feet suspended among the clouds, Tiddley's demonstrates that every discovery begins with a single step. At first glance, it looks more like a cliff than a roadway. Tiny cars crawl up the steep incline and disappear beyond the horizon, creating a sight that leaves millions of people wondering, what is really going on here? This is Ashima Ohashi in Japan, but the strange thing is that the people who drive across this bridge every day do not consider it a frightening road at all. So why does it look as if it could swallow an entire car? The answer turns out not to lie in the bridge itself. It lies in the way we see it. Ashima Ohashi is approximately 1.1 miles long and rises nearly 150 feet high to allow large ships to pass underneath. Yet what made it famous was not its engineering. It was an optical illusion. When photographed from a distance with a telephoto lens, the depth of the scene becomes compressed while the height appears exaggerated. From a particular angle, the entire bridge looks almost vertical. In reality, however, its gradient is only about 3 degrees, comparable to many ordinary highway ramps. In 2013, a Daihatsu commercial turned the bridge into a global sensation. Millions of people believed they were looking at the steepest and most terrifying road in the world. But the people who cross it every day see nothing more than an ordinary bridge. And perhaps that is the most fascinating thing about Ashima Ohashi. Sometimes what deceives us is not reality itself, it is the perspective from which we choose to observe it. Amid expanses that seem impossible to cross, humanity has always found a way to keep moving forward, and the story is far from over.